When it comes to the recognition of our true nature, the biggest obstacle that people will often run into is their experience of doubt. There's a lot of doubt about the nature of their recognition, whether they truly got it, whether they are just deluding themselves, or if they have truly recognized what they really are. And I can certainly speak from my own experience here as well, because for me, that was certainly one of the biggest challenges I faced when it comes to awakening. There was a tremendous amount of doubt in me. I wasn't sure if I really got it. I wanted to have a kind of clarity and certainty about my recognition. And luckily, eventually, that certainty did develop. So in this video, I would like to give you some words of advice that might hopefully be able to resolve your own questions of doubt for you. And to be sure, there are many forms that doubt can take. We can, for example, just have logical doubts about our true nature, this non-dual awareness. We can doubt whether such a thing truly exists and whether it's possible to even recognize that. We might have doubt about the whole metaphysics of it. We might doubt whether this is really all there is to reality, whether this is truly fundamental. Now, I'm not going to explore these kinds of doubts in this video. The doubts I want to address are really the doubts about the recognition in of itself. In other words, answering the question with clarity whether you have or have not recognized your true nature, your true self, this wide open, awake emptiness. And when we are speaking about doubt in this context, it can, very broadly speaking, show up in two different ways. We can, for example, be doubtful about the nature of our true nature, its qualities, so to say, whether they truly are there or whether we can actually recognize them. Another kind of doubt is more of a felt sense of doubt. And all kind of doubt will fundamentally, in my view, have a sort of somatic component to it. The doubt, for the most part, will not just be a kind of abstract thought which you have, which says, did I really get it right? No, what's really upsetting and obstructing about the nature of our doubt is that there is usually this intense, uncomfortable feeling arising with the thought of doubt. And this feeling in the body is really what gives the doubt all of its juice, all of its power. The doubt only seems valid and important because this somatic feeling seems to reinforce it. And you know this in your experience from many other kind of normal, regular situations. If you have, for example, a doubt about your ability to do something, just as a regular person, whenever you feel doubt about anything, what makes it feel real, what makes it feel problematic, is that there is this energy in the body that co-arises with this more conceptual overlay. So we always have this component of thinking and feeling, and then we fixate on these components and create the solidity of this, let's call it doubting structure. And separating the more cognitive part from the more felt somatic part is important, because we might be able to recognize our true nature with absolute clarity, but then still have this experience of intense bodily feelings arising. And very often the tendency is then to recollapse around these intense feelings and interpret them as evidence of our unenlightenment. We have this uncomfortable sensation, and all of a sudden we think that this must be because I still haven't recognized, because I'm still confused, still in doubt. So when we understand this, we can relax about these feelings in the body. We can understand that they may or may not arise, but we don't have to push them away. We don't have to get rid of them. Naturally, after a while, they will calm down, settle. They won't feel as bothersome anymore because we have recognized with certainty what there is to recognize. And the body has to catch up to this recognition. It is, in some sense, lagging behind. It might still have these remnants of confusion. And so we don't force the body to catch up to our recognition, but we just allow it to unfold further. And usually these somatic feelings of doubt will eventually come in line with our recognition. And even the experience of the body can then eventually be a testament to our recognition rather than some kind of proof of our lack of clarity. So what is the first key we need to have certainty in our recognition? Well, like with recognizing anything, you need to know what you are looking for. You need to know what the characteristics are of the object which you are searching for. Now, when it comes to our true nature, the tricky thing is, of course, that it's not an object. It doesn't actually have identifiable characteristics, like, for example, this shirt I'm wearing here right now. You can say it has a kind of shape and color, dimensionality to it, and therefore it's very easy to recognize it when you see it. But when it comes to our true nature, the tricky thing is that it's like space. It's invisible to the eye, imperceptible to feeling. It's silence to the ears. So there's no possibility of objectifying it. So the most truthful way of actually speaking about our true nature would be in negative terms. It's not like we can investigate our true nature and then really find its unboundedness or really find its centerlessness. A more accurate way of describing it would be to say we don't find a center, we don't find a boundary, we don't find unawakeness. So these negative descriptions are actually more accurate in some sense. It's just that speaking this way can be a bit tiresome. And I'm not afraid of using words which give our true nature more of a substance, as long as we understand that it's not something objective. And before I go more into the characteristics of our true nature and how to recognize them, remember that our true nature is what recognizes our true nature. It's not like you, as a body mind, through the use of your attention, your thinking, your contraction, will be able to realize your true nature. That will be utterly impossible. Remember that what we are investigating is the subject of experience. What is the one who is aware right now? It's never on the side of the object. If it was, then there would be a new subject, and we would have to investigate the nature of that new subject, and we would wind up in a sort of infinite regress, ever chasing the subject of experience. So again, we are not looking for an object which we truly are. The more accurate way of describing it would be to say that we are looking for a knowing by being, just by our true nature being itself without contraction. It knows itself as this unbounded centerless awakeness. So it's always a matter of opening up, relaxing into this recognition of what's already established. And these moments of recognition may, relatively speaking, only last for a short time. But that's okay. We are not aiming for a perfect embodiment, a permanent state of realization here. It's just about very casually allowing your true nature to recognize itself. There is no need for any kind of mystical expectation about what the implications of this are and how this is going to transform the whole way we live our life. No, just stay with the basics. Stay with this very simple recognition of what you are in this current moment. And if that only seems to last for a short while, that's fine. If you actually try to maintain the recognition, you will only obscure it. You will, by trying to maintain it, just produce a sort of state of mind, which is a kind of near truth. It's not what you really are. It's not what you're really looking for. So, when you have recognized, the important thing is to just drop all effort. Allow the recognition to maintain itself. Allow your true nature to recognize itself. There's nothing to be done. To the mind, this is more like a gap of experience. It is not that the mind is maintaining something. If anything, it's stopping what it's usually doing, stopping this activity of contraction. Again, hands off the wheel and allow true nature to recognize itself. Because only true nature has the capacity to know itself by being itself. Now, having said that, curiously, it's possible for our true nature to recognize different aspects of itself by resting in itself and by recognizing itself. And I want to highlight 3 aspects in particular that should be obvious when we are recognizing our true nature. The first aspect is quite essential to all of awakening, and that is the aspect of centerlessness. Now, what do I mean by that? When I speak of centerlessness, what I mean is the opposite of our usual experience of feeling located and contracted. This is very much the default position for a lot of us and most of our lives even. We have the sense that we really are this entity here, which is directing its attention outward toward this world of objects. And so we have this very basic belief and furthermore feeling of being the center of it all. The one who is watching through the eyes right now. And when we are recognizing our true nature, one of the obvious differences is that there is no longer this sense of actually being located and looking out at the world. It is more like being without center and therefore being everywhere all at once. Rather than being at one location in space, the impression is now that one is everywhere. Every part of our field of experience is where we are, because every part of the field of experience is what we are. There's something very visceral about this feeling of being a center. We can recognize it in our experience, and when it's not there, there's immediately this recognition of the openness of our being, rather than the contracted nature of the separately existing self. Another aspect of our true nature, which we may recognize, is that it's without a limit. We cannot actually find anything that limits it or gives it some kind of context. When we are looking at anything in our field of experience, any object, there's always something around it. There's always a sort of experiential context to it. But when it comes to our true nature of awareness, we never find this limit. Everything is included in it, but it is not in anything. And we may even search for this boundary, search for this limit. And upon not finding it, we can recognize that there is no limit. Awareness is clearly here, but it has no location, it has no boundary, nothing to entrap it. And we could therefore say that our true nature of awareness is boundless. And another aspect, which may be the most obvious one, is that our true nature is awake. It is not some kind of empty void, which doesn't have the quality of knowing. No, our true nature is clearly present and it is clearly awake. And interestingly, we all have a very intuitive sense about this. It doesn't matter who you ask. If you would ask them, are you awake right now? They would answer, yes, of course, I'm awake. I'm aware of my experience. And so we have immediately this sense that we are this awakeness, this awareness is here. And so when we are looking back and recognizing our true nature, this quality of awareness is very palpable. It's very immediate. It's immediately obvious that everything is being perceived by this boundless, centerless awakeness. It knows everything. It is the common element of every experience. And we can then, interestingly, also notice that the objective content of our experience always changes. It's never the same for an instant. But this quality of awakeness is always present. It does not come and go. And the mirror analogy can be useful here to get a sense of this. When you are looking at a mirror, you are essentially always looking at this clear, calm flatness of the mirror. But at the same time, the mirror may display something totally different from moment to moment. It's always changing how it's displaying itself, but it's always the same in its essential being. And so likewise, how this awakeness is displaying itself is always changing, but this basic quality of awakeness, awareness, is always the same. It does not come and go. It doesn't change. It doesn't increase or decrease. No matter how intense an experience seems to be, this awakeness is always the same. And very often it's also therefore described as a kind of clarity, an experience of clarity. Because like a mirror that is perfectly clear, it doesn't matter what it's displaying. It always has this aspect of clarity to it. It reflects whatever is in front of it perfectly. And likewise, when it comes to the clarity of this awareness, it knows everything with absolute clarity. It reveals everything with 100% certainty. Now, the final aspect I want to mention here about our true nature is that of non-separation or interconnectedness. It is the recognition that this unbounded, centerless awakeness is not separate from our field of perceptions. Everything I said so far could give you the impression that our true nature is this space which exists separately from our experience. But crucially, that would still be a sort of duality. There would still be a sense of being located somehow. Now, the sense of your location might have changed from being located in the body to being this spacious awakeness. But still, there is a sense of separation, and therefore also a sense of dissatisfaction that comes with that. So it's absolutely crucial to see as well that this field of awakeness and the field of our perceptions are not separate. We cannot find the slightest distance between our perceptions and the awakeness out of which they are made. So another way to describe this is to say that the perceptions which we are experiencing, so seeing, feeling, hearing, smelling, all of that, and the awakeness which is perceiving all of that, are made out of the same substance. Of course, this could be misleading because this awakeness is not some kind of graspable substance. Like I said earlier, it doesn't have objective qualities to it. But nevertheless, everything that's being perceived is simply the shape and form that this awakeness is taking. Because it is inherently without any substance, any particular form to it, it can assume the form of everything you are perceiving. An analogy which can get this point across is to think of gold. Now, gold in this analogy is our true nature of awareness. You can take the gold and shape it into any kind of ornament. You can make a ring out of it, a necklace, an earring, whatever you like. But it's always the same substance of gold present in all of these forms. And likewise, when it comes to the nature of our experience, it's always this very basic same awakeness, which is modulating and shaping itself into our field of experience. So when you are hearing my voice right now, that is your true nature of awakeness appearing as that sound. When you are feeling the body right now, that is again our true nature of awakeness shaping itself into that sensation. Like a wave arising out of the ocean. The wave is not something other than the ocean. It is simply how the ocean is appearing to itself. And when we are feeling the body, it is simply how this awakeness is shaping itself in its own experience of itself. And so when we recognize our true nature, it eventually has to become clear that this awakeness has no distance from what we are perceiving. So next, I would like to lead you to the recognition of your true nature and allow you to realize these different aspects of your being for yourself, and therefore develop the certainty in the presence of them and overcome this frustrating experience of doubt. So before we go into that, let's just quickly summarize what we spoke about so far. True nature knows itself. It knows itself by being itself. It's not the activity of the mind, but it's a stopping of the fixation of the mind. The qualities of our true nature are centerlessness, unboundedness, awakeness, and interconnectedness. And so next, as we are recognizing our true nature, we may allow ourselves to simply notice these aspects of our experience. Are they truly there, or are they not there? If they aren't there, well, great, then we have some kind of answer. But if they are there, then simply notice them, recognize them. If in the next moment they don't seem to be there, then the simple solution is to just recognize them again. Just like when you're not sure whether you have put your phone in your pocket, you just reach down and check. Now, in the next moment, you might forget whether it's actually still there. And so you might check again. And you can check as often as you want, but eventually you will have the certainty that, oh yes, my phone is truly in my pocket. And so likewise, when it comes to the recognition of our true nature, we can just over and over again come to this recognition and see whether it's really like that. And that will do all the heavy lifting. That will truly prove to ourselves that reality is like that. It's not that we have to struggle for some kind of logical conclusion or have this big awakening experience. No, just true nature being itself reveals its qualities to itself and therefore dissolves these feelings of doubt. Okay, great. Now having said all of that, let's actually recognize our true nature together and see whether we can discover all of these aspects. So you may continue watching this video now and simply follow my instructions. But make sure that you are not following them as your mind, as a person. Remember that it is you as your true nature, as this awareness, which is listening to my words right now, which is following these instructions, and which can truly recognize itself. So simply allow yourself to settle for a bit, calm down, follow the breath for a couple of seconds. And now you may begin to open up to your field of experience. notice that you are awake right now. You are aware of your experience right now. This is true beyond any doubt. But check whether that's actually obvious. Check whether awareness is really here. And having noticed now that this awareness is here, simply open up more. Include more of your experience. Allow yourself to take in all of this awareness. This entire experience of seeing. Include all of the visual field. This entire field of sensations. Open up and include all of it. And notice how it is the awareness which you are, which is doing so. It is the awareness which you are, which is aware of your experience right now. And having now shifted to this more spacious way of being aware, you may still have the sense that you are somehow in the middle of it all, the center, the one who is witnessing experience from the position of being in your head. If that's the case for you right now, simply notice that. Notice that source of doubt. Notice how it shows up in your experience. It shows up as you being here, the center, the witness, the one who is aware. And so if this is the sense you have right now about your experience, then simply allow this awareness which is here to look back. And what happens? You may notice that there is a gap, not a gap of experience, but a gap of fixation, a gap of looking for something. Again, notice this sense of being a looker, and allow this awareness, this spacious awakeness which is here, to look back into the one who is apparently looking. And if you only get a short glimpse of there being no center to it all, then simply notice that. Notice that when awareness looks for itself, it doesn't find itself as a center. Instead, there is simply a opening up and spontaneous recognition of itself as being centerless awakeness. Now, alternatively, if you feel like you are struggling with this looking method, simply allow yourself to open up all the way again, all the way to where you perceive the boundary of your field of experience. And instead of trying to look for your true nature, simply drop all effort. And notice how, in this dropping, awareness was still here. Awareness was not dependent on you trying to achieve something. It is here when you are not trying to achieve something, and it's here when you are. You can't get closer to it. You can't truly find it by looking for it. But in this attempt to look for it, or through this activity of dropping all effort, awareness simply shines. It shines and it knows itself as shining. It shines without a center. And what about this aspect of boundlessness? Again, look back. Recognize yourself as this awareness. And notice that the awakeness which is here right now does not have a location or limit to it. And check again, see whether that's true. Drop any effort to look for it. Allow this awakeness to notice itself. And simply inquire, where is the boundary? And allow the answer to show itself. Now, you may not be able to find a boundary. And that right there is the evidence of the lack of boundary. A limit cannot be found. A boundary cannot be found. So why believe in it? Again, open up and drop. Awakeness is here. Where is its limit? A limit cannot be found. And what about the aspect of interconnectedness, non-separation? Again, open up and allow this awareness to recognize itself again. Noticing the presence of this awareness which is here. Now, how far away is this awareness from what you are seeing right now? You may have the sense that the body is at a certain distance, but the awareness which is aware right now, the awareness which is seeing right now, how far away is it from what you are seeing? Can you find any distance between this awareness and what it's aware of? And if you can't find the distance, why believe in it? Why doubt the non-separation if there is no evidence for separation actually here? You may also ask yourself, what's most fundamentally real about the experience of seeing right now? Seeing is self-evidently present. Seeing is not nothing. Why is it not nothing? Because you are aware of seeing. Notice how this awareness aspect is inextricable from the seeing. Notice how no matter what shape seeing takes, the awareness of it is constant. There is no seeing without awakeness, no visual field without this awareness. And you may also ask yourself, out of what the seeing is made? What's its substance? Notice the substance of what you are, the substance of this awareness. It can't be found, but it's undoubtedly real. It undoubtedly has this aspect of awareness to it. And is the awareness which is aware of seeing, and the awareness which is shaping itself as seeing, something different? Or is it the same thing, inseparably? Awakeness appearing as form. And again, as this is becoming clear, simply drop all effort. And now, as we are recognizing again our true nature, notice all of its aspects: centerlessness, boundlessness, interconnectedness, awakeness, all at once. Simply look back, drop all effort, and allow all of this to become obvious. See how all of these aspects of reality are maintaining themselves. We are not creating them, they are already here. Centerlessness is here. Boundlessness is here. Awakeness is here. Interconnectedness is here. Simply be that. Be what you cannot not be. Okay, good. And now that we have recognized all of these aspects for ourselves, you may ask yourself, if I still have doubt about my recognition, where is that doubt coming from? What am I doubting? And that provides the avenue for your exploration. You can have a very much scientific approach to it. Simply allow your true nature to investigate itself. And that will eventually remove all your doubts. If you do feel like working this out further in a one-on-one context, you can of course contact me through my website. And I would very much enjoy guiding you through gaining this clarity in your recognition if you feel like you're still struggling with that.